How's it going, everyone? And welcome back to another episode of the Geeky Gentleman, the podcast for all your geeky needs, fashion, and lifestyle tips, all rolled into one perfectly packaged podcast. We are a little less than a month away from WandaVision premiering on Disney+. Now, out of all the MCU series on Disney+, this is by far the one I've been waiting for the most. With so many hidden plot points, and Marvel not even really stating which comic book characters some actors are playing, we're going to break down one of them in this podcast episode. So, who is Katheryn Hahn's character Agnes in WandaVision? Marvel hasn't officially stated who Katheryn Hahn is portraying in the upcoming series of WandaVision. Currently, on IMDb, Hahn's character is only listed as Agnes. Now, I don't know about you, but to me, that sounds like a clear hint to the character of Agatha Harkness. Added to the fact that in the trailer she's dressed as a witch too, that could easily be another hint to her character's origin in the comic books. It's not a stretch of the imagination to see Agatha in WandaVision, seeing how Agatha has a long and complicated relationship to the Scarlet Witch in the comic books. So who is Agatha Harkness? Agatha was first introduced in the pages of the Fantastic Four comic books as the governess to Mr. Fantastic's and the Invisible Woman's son, Franklin Richards. She's a powerful witch, and back in her day, she was the leader of a colony of witches in New Salem. Her son, Nicholas Scratch, returns and eventually takes control over the town, New Salem, and convinces its inhabitants that Agatha had betrayed their secrets by working for the Fantastic Four. Agatha was then kidnapped along with Franklin and put on trial, but was freed by the Fantastic Four. Eventually, she became the magical tutor for the Scarlet Witch in the use of witchcraft. Sometime later, the Salem Seven, who are the grandchildren of Agatha, took over New Salem once again. But this time, they succeeded in capturing Agatha and killed her by burning her at the stake. Agatha made her presence known to Wanda in a post-death astral form, leading Wanda to come into conflict with the Salem Seven. In the ensuing battle, Vertigo, who was the leader of the Salem Seven, lost control of all the magical energies, which resulted in the decimation of the town. As we know in comic books, no one stays dead for long, and later Agatha resurfaces alive and well when Wanda's infant children begin exhibiting some odd behavior, such as disappearing for brief periods of time. Wanda was also becoming slightly unstable due to the fact that her husband, Vision, had just been dismantled. Now, during all of this, Agatha gave no clear indication on how or why she had returned. When the demon Mephisto claimed that Scarlet Witch's children were actually fragments of his own soul, he reabsorbed them, and Agatha chose to mind-wipe Wanda's memory of her children in an attempt to help her deal with the trauma. During the Avengers Disassembled storyline, Wanda angrily confronts Agatha about the existence of her children. Sometime after the confrontation between Agatha and the Scarlet Witch, Nick Fury finds what appears to be Agatha's corpse in her home and concluded that Agatha had been dead for a long time. In the all-new, all-different Marvel relaunch of the comic books, Agatha appears once again as a ghost to Scarlet Witch and confirms her death at the hands of her protege. Agatha's ghost returns to fight alongside Wanda and the spirit of Wanda's biological mother, Natalia Maximoff, against the physical manifestation of chaos, who is attempting to destroy witchcraft. Agatha and Natalia channel their magic through Wanda and manage to defeat the being, and Agatha is restored to life. Despite noting that hers and Scarlet Witch's lives are forever entwined, Agatha chooses to have some time apart to enjoy being back alive once again. Now, what are Agatha's abilities? Agatha derives her powers from the manipulation of the forces of magic. She's been able to use her magic for a number of effects, such as teleportation, energy projection, tapping into the energies through the recitation of spells, illusion casting, mesmerism, and thought casting. So what can we possibly see from Agatha in WandaVision? The first news we got about Agnes's character, or aka Agatha, was that she was going to be a noisy neighbor to Wanda and Vision. But Will Agatha be a friend or foe to Wanda? In the comic books, Agatha has always been more of a tutor, a friend, and a magical guide to Wanda and her growing powers. But she's also taken it upon herself to mind wipe Wanda in regards to the existence of her children when they were reabsorbed by Mephisto, which left the already grief-stricken Wanda even more traumatized and led to Agatha's own death at the hands of Wanda, the events of Avengers Disassembled, which saw the Scarlet Witch terrorizing the Avengers, although this was later reconned to her being possessed by a cosmic entity in an attempt to bring back her children with the help of Doctor Doom, but that still doesn't change the fact that she terrorized the Avengers. Also, in the storyline Avengers Disassembled, Wanda is finally defeated with the arrival of Doctor Strange. Add that to the fact that after the events of Avengers Disassembled, Wanda alters reality in the popular House of M storyline, which once again is her attempt to preserve her life with her children. Whether Agatha is a friend or foe, the introduction of her character doesn't necessarily bode well for the Scarlet Witch, even if Agatha's intentions are sincere. In the trailer of WandaVision, Agatha is the only other character besides Wanda and Vision that the audience sees in the different time periods. Agatha could possibly be fleeing and hiding in Wanda's pocket reality because of Mordo's mission to get rid of magical users in the world, which would be a nice tie-in to the sequel of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. But whether Agatha is hiding from Mordo or there on her own accord, Agatha could be aware of Scarlet Witch's growing powers and be attempting to help the mentally fragmented Wanda escape her own powers or to stop the outer effects Wanda's reality warping powers are having on the real world. In her attempt to assist Wanda, just like she did in the comic books by mind-wiping Wanda's memory of her children, Agatha could be the key to Wanda realizing that her entire world is not actually real. And with Wanda learning that her children aren't real and that Vision is dead, it could send Wanda off the deep end with her becoming the antagonist in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Or maybe Marvel will be taking the character of Agatha and actually be turning her into a villain. If so, I don't really see Marvel making Agatha the real villain of the series. I could see Agatha doing more of the bidding for far more nefarious villains such as Dormammu. But no matter what, I'm so happy that Marvel is diving into the comic book lore of the Scarlet Witch, and I'm so ready to see her character come into center stage and shine, because I love Wanda. I just cannot wait to see her do all the witchy things that we kind of saw a little bit teased out in Age of Ultron with her movements. I want them to really get into the witchcraft of the Scarlet Witch. And there you have it, gentlemen. Everything you need to know about Agatha Harkness before she makes her MCU debut in WandaVision. Thank you again for listening to another episode of The Geeky Gentleman. Don't forget to subscribe and rate the podcast. That always makes my day. If you're interested in supporting The Geeky Gentleman podcast, then look for it on Patreon. I got some extra goodies for all those who support my podcast. Feel free to drop me a DM on Instagram. I am @DriftingDecal, and I'd love to hear your own theories of Agatha Harkness in WandaVision. If you want more content from me, feel free to visit my blog at www.driftingdudes.com, and until our next podcast adventure, I will talk at you guys later. Bye.